things you love to see. And here we go, Mike, prize cards. These could be really impactful.
Okay, we'll see them going out here straight away. That custom catcher. Did I say custom catcher?
You're turning back the hand of time there.
That's 2019, 2018 all over again. Cross switches there. Quite vital because often needing to use both pairs of them throughout a game. So could be quite an important prize card there. But starting with that Ditto, what a card included into this Lost Box. We've seen it a little bit recently, but an overlooked addition to the Lost Box.
Such an interesting card. Only use it on your first turn, but you get to swap it with any basic from your deck. So it can be extra copies of Comfey. It can be an extra way to find your Greninja. Could also be your V Pokemon. Basically, what I'm trying to say, it's a very versatile card.
Could be any of them. And as we've mentioned throughout the tournament where we've seen the Ditto, it's not just about being able to switch into anything, but sometimes you can bench it and make a decision later in your turn as to what you want to swap in, depending on how the flower selecting's prior, concealed cards, and Cotterell's experiment go. So Ditto has been a pretty important card, and it's one of those where if you don't use it, it doesn't matter. It's just a card you can easily Lost Zone away later on. Yeah,
and that's one advantage having those Lost Zone engines, is that if stuff isn't particularly useful, like Battle VIP Pass in later turns, for example, it's fine. You send it to the best place those cards can be, the Lost Zone, where they're not going to come back. But here we saw the Ditto coming up in the top 4 as well, and here we see it immediately gaining value here for Arthur in this finals.
I mean, we've seen how powerful turn 1 effects are with Battle VIP Pass, so similar kind of tech. Also, that Splup attack.
Yep.
Our favorite named attack of the day.
I'll tell you what, if we saw Splup for $10,000, I'll be a happy bird. I'll tell you that for free. So
yeah, on the other side, just seeing a little bit of Konsta's first hand, lots of Pokemon available. And maybe that Spiritomb could be huge on this first turn, because I think I see a lot of Genesects there. And no Alyssa Sparkle. And no fusion energy, so an early Spiritomb could be massive.
I tell you what, wouldn't that be a statement? Ditto for Spiritomb. Oh, but we do see a Battle VIP Pass. Uh-oh. That means Arthur has free reign to grab any 2 basic Pokemon, and there goes that Spiritomb. That means Konsta's going to have to start jumping over hurdles immediately to start using that Fusion Strike system.
Spiritomb.
Oh my goodness, Arthur. Oh, sorry, Mark. That's another Battle VIP Pass for Arthur. Arthur saying, right, I said it was my goal to win a regional this season. I'm going to do everything I can right now to try and make that happen.
Just the first turn here, Shay.
Yeah, I know. And I'm already that excited. Oh my goodness, Mike.
So we see the Comfey and the Active, not even used the flower selecting yet. A good bit of thinning as well with those Battle VIP Pass.
Yeah.
The Ditto also thinning out a card. So everything right now looking in favor of Arthur for the perfect start, especially if Konsta can't get out of that Spiritomb lock, the Fettered in Misfortune ability, denying all Pokemon V in plays abilities.
I'll tell you what, that's one of the most aptly named abilities of all time, that is, because when you're on the receiving end of that, you feel like you are fettered in misfortune. Make no mistake about it. I've been on the receiving end of that, Mike, a few times, unfortunately.
I mean, it's also been affecting the Raikou, fleet-footed. Can't use it on your own side.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Well, I tell you, it's worth it, though. If you can pull it off and slow down your opponent in the final, it's worth it. Now, the only thing I'd like to see from Arthur now, does Arthur have the facility to start getting a lot of cards in the Lost Zone? We see one already. We're going to see the skate ropes. Here comes a second. Will we see a concealed cards as well?
I mean, at this stage, when you have a handful of Battle VIP Pass, it's often too clunky then for the rest of it. So you've got to find enough switch outs, and it seems to be a fair few in there. The Lost Vacuum as well, nothing to target with it at this stage. But yeah, the hand not looking too good outside of that. But you know, all you need to do is set up, get the Spiritomb down, get a few in the Lost Zone, and we might see an early knockout next turn already.
Right, over to Konsta now then, his first turn. Let's see what he can do. We do see the Forest Seal Stone, so we could see bench Genesect, Forest Seal Stone for an Elisa potentially. Or Elsa Spark, get some fusion energies in play, then you can start to, you know, get to work with those Genesect EXs. Genesect EX, I should say. So as Konsta looks like is using the Forest Seal Stone there, apologies. And let's see what he can manufacture. And his own little price check here as well. So this is Konsta's first time checking the deck. Let's see what he looks at and what he maneuvers around.
I mean, the Alyssa Sparkle early on to protect those Genesect from the Spiritomb. That's what we were speaking about earlier, how the Fusion build has a little bit of a nicer time in this matchup just because of the Fusion energy blocking Spiritomb's ability It's kind of confusing. The fusion energy blocked the Spiritomb ability, which blocks the ability of Genesect. So it doesn't quite work out the way I described it there, but you get the idea. The fusion energy protects those Genesects so they can fusion strike system and keep that draw engine going. And often that's the way to play this matchup. Just spread those fusion energy out across all of the Genesect.
I mean, it is very advantageous. What it does do, though, I mean, in an ideal world, you don't want those fusion energies on your Genesect, but if it lets you continue the game, you don't really have a lot of choice. As KONSTA here, looks like he's noting down the prize cards. A fantastic skill, I think, knowing what's in your prize cards.
Both notepad users in the final here. Perhaps that's the key.
Yeah, here we go. Something I like to try and do as well, might I say.
Are you a notepad user?
I'm a notepad. Well, when I play Mew, you kind of have to, right? Got to know those tablets and those fusion energies where they are. We do see the turn 1 Alessa's Sparkle, so that means KONSTA will be able to use Fusion Strike system.
As you saw him gesture towards the 2 Genesect. We'll be just putting them there to allow the draw engine to get going. Hopefully can thin the hand down enough to start drawing. You know, Ultra Balls are often the best friend early on for a Mew VMAX deck. And when you're against Lost Box, you know that whatever you draw into is likely going to stay in your hand until the end game when disruption starts to become a factor. Probably both these players very familiar with each other's lists because they've been, throughout this whole journey, you know, they've probably been sat next to each other throughout the hall, so they've had a good glimpse of it.
So let's see, we see double turbo energy attached to active as well. So we're going to see a Fusion Strike system. This one's going to be for 2. 1, 2.
Anything good there?
What were they? I thought it was another Genesect, I feel, and the Forest Seal. I tell you what, that's some efficiency right there. Get them out the hand nice and early.
All the Forest Seal stones appearing early there.
Yeah, it was like KONSTA's having to work his way through the trees. He's in that forest, all those stones.
And the Genesect not wanting to be played down, because if you put that Genesect down, you really bench lock yourself out of your options. You've got Meloetta as an option. You've got that Block Slide Ice Cube that you want to be putting down.
Speaking of Iscu, just hit the hand there as well. See, there was a world that KONSTA could have been on the offensive, and Alessa Sparkle to the, well, to an Iscu to block slider the Spiritomb. As it stands now, KONSTA is going to retreat the Mew to safety and pass with the Iscu in the active.
Yeah, you mentioned it there. The Mew VMAX deck can be more aggressive, playing into that Alessa Sparkle for a turn 2 attack. But realistically, you want to play a bit more defensive in this matchup, just because that fusion energy, if it's used for attacking, as soon as those Pokemon get knocked out, you're left stranded, no draw power. So this is more of a setup for the future. Yeah.
And as it stands now for Arthur, I haven't seen a Chorus experiment yet. We do see one flower selecting, hasn't found the Chorus. It looks like we might be seeing a Radiant Greninja conceal cards. Here we go, discarding, was it the Psychic? Do we see a Chorus, Mike? No, we do not.
No Chorus. I mean, the cross switches, cancelling Cologne, none of these cards you want to be seeing at this stage. Definitely needs to be getting to a Chorus soon, because only 3 in the Lost Zone at this point. Really needs to get to that big 7 so he can start spreading damage out. You know, with the Radiant Greninja, if you can get 90 on 2 Genesects, that can really start setting up final prize cards. You know, you want to go through 3 Genesect maybe. Probably the best route to victory.
Yeah, that definitely works. You know, you could even, well, you can't do it now, but tagging 2 Mew Vs with 90s when they evolve. Oh, but we do see the Lost Vacuum to get to 4 in the Lost Zone, so we will see a spit innocently into that Iscu for Arthur to take the first prize card in this final.
And that changes the prize map. That's 1 prize taken. Now we'll have to take either 3 2 prizes or a 2 prizer and a 3 prizer. As you mentioned, the 90 damage from the Genesect can be a way to set up on a Mew VMAX. So there's definitely some things to think about there. And this is where the navigation through the whole battle here, you can't just exceed the final route at the beginning here. It's going to be back and forth throughout. Disruption. We see a judge now. Yeah. It's going to take a long time.
Interesting. KONSTA had an Ultra Ball, so could have Ultra Ball for the Mew VMAX there and then played Judge, but opting to, I don't know what the other cards were in the hand, but opting to say, right, these cards are valuable, I want to play the Judge, and I hope or expect to draw into a Mew VMAX off this Judge.
Lost City might come into play later on. That's a big card to get rid of important attackers.
There's nothing more satisfying, Mike, I'll be honest, in the Pokemon TCG than sending a Spiritomb as a Mew player to the Lost Zone. So right there you go. Go on, try and get that one back. You can't. Let's see what KONSTA draws here. We see an Ultra Ball and a Fusion Energy. So So we could go to 3 Genesects here that can all use Fusion Strike system.
I mean, you said about getting rid of the Spiritomb, but with the Fusion Energy in play, it might not even be needed. The Spiritomb is not really affecting the game too much now. As you mentioned, another Fusion Energy could be put down, and that would mean all 3 Genesect in play right now would be able to draw. So it's about getting that attack off now, and because it's going to be 1 prizes throughout, we're just going to see maybe 5 or 6 attacks required for KONSTA throughout. So it's going to be a slow process to try and get through and try and break down this lost box.
Yeah, I feel as if that's the tail of the tape. KONSTA wants to win this game as soon as possible, and Arthur wants the game to go as long as possible. Oh, wow, all 4 Fusion Energies available right now. Isn't hand. We do see a Feather Ball letting you search for any Pokemon card that has a free retreat cost, so that means Mew V or Mew VMAX.
I saw the Avery there. I was thinking about you, Shay. Every time I see Avery now, I'm going to think of you. Because every single time it's been played today, even if it wasn't that good, you've loved it.
It's always good.
Loved every moment.
It's always good. At worst, you draw 3. That's good, innit? You never, it might be the 3 cards you need.
Historically, yes. In Pokemon, we love draw 3, don't we?
We do see the Choice Belt in the hand there. We do see another Feather Ball.
Would you go for the 3 Mews in play, do you think?
Oh, if you go 3 Mews, that means you can Psychic Leap confidently. I'm not 100% sure as to what you can realistically Psychic Leap. Well, definitely not this turn, but it looks like KONSTA has identified that. And against Lost Box, traditionally, that can be a strong game plan. Removing damage and, in combination with Power Tablets, lets you KO Comfey as well.
This is almost like the traditional double turbo energy game plan, but with the Fusion Energy in play, allowing you to keep drawing. So something he'll be familiar with. I think he's been playing Mew VMAX for a while, has KONSTA.
Yeah.
So he'll be aware of the Psychic Leap game plan. And there's no Cleansing Gloves, which for a little while was featuring in the list to try and deal with Lost Box. But at this stage, Power Tablets will suffice on some of those jumps in the deck.
Oh, Boss's Orders and Path to the Peak and Switch Cart. Path to the Peak could be interesting here. You can Judge and Path, sort of reducing Arthur's reload potential. But I don't think KONSTA has a way to remove that Path, so that could end up sticking for him as well. So let's see if he opts to play it.
I mean, it could be tough next turn.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to have to Techno Blast at the end of this turn to knock out the Cramorant. Maybe, he's played a Judge this turn, so...
Oh, he's gone for it, Mike.
Interesting. Copying Techno Blast, so needs to do a little bit of work in the next turn to be able to get the next Mew set up. But at this stage, I guess he's got the Escape Rope and the Switch Cart, so we'll be able to reset it that way. But I guess no disruption in the hand, so yeah, guaranteed attack next turn.
I don't think, Mike, that Arthur's hand is particularly great right now. That Flower Second didn't help much. But yeah, I see a lot of energy. Is that a Switch Cart and a Nest Ball?
A lot of energy. That's the Path of the Peak getting value, isn't it?
Yeah. Here we see another Flower Selecting, Mike. This could be huge. Heavy Ball and another energy, Mike.
Not looking good. I think this is the Mew game plan you want to see. Judge plus Path.
Yeah.
Really sticking it to a Lost Box player, especially when they're early game. They haven't had a chance to thin through their deck. It's that bit more effective. No attackers in play. Low count in the Lost Zone. A lot of work required here for Arthur.
Yeah, and that's that age-old question, right? You might have a good matchup, but if you have no cards in your hand, you can't do anything. And that's what KONSTA's trying to do. Limit the effective cards. Like that hand. Oh, it's a Battle of that P-Pass, sorry. It's not a Switch Cart. So I tell you what that hand does, Mike. A whole lot of nothing right now.
Well, let's take a moment to appreciate the disruption.
Yeah.
Disruption is very effective. Your card of the tournament was Avery. Mine was Path to the Peak.
Okay.
So far this matchup, I'm on top.
We're both in the final, thank you very much.
What's your Avery done?
What do you mean, what's your Avery done? It might come up, you never know. I'll tell you what, I'll be so happy if KONSTA wins this final now, like an Escape Rope Avery play, and I'll just sit there with the biggest smile on my face.
Well, you can dream. So that Hisuian Heavy Ball finding a Sableye out the prizes. And again, not much going on. That hand is pretty much dead, and that's going to be a pass there.
Can KONSTA attack, though? Oh, lost vacuum off the top, Mike!
We said he can reset the attack with a switch out.
Oh, does have the escape rope? Yeah, you are correct.
Can do the escape rope. There was also a switch cart, which could retreat and switch cart back, but of course wanting to save that in case the sprinkles of the Lost Mine start to happen.
So KONSTA might just opt to leave the path in play and just hold that that lost vacuum. I see no reason to replace.
thinning that Alyssa Sparkle out because there is only 3 in play. Can go into the deck. None found. Good little way to get that out the deck.
Yep. Thin it out the hand as well. Just get, you know, so you won't be drawn into it off a Roxanne or an Iono later on.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't aware, if you play an Alyssa Sparkle when there are clearly 4 fusion energy in play, either on your Pokemon, in your discard pile, in the lost zone, anything like that, then you cannot play it. But because that fusion energy was in hand, it was possible to play the Alyssa Sparkle first.
And here we go with the Mew VMAX going back into the active, resetting the effect of Technoblast. And we are going to have to see another Technoblast as KONSTA takes one more prize card, marching towards victory here. Yeah, 2 prize cards for KONSTA.
And just the one taken for Arta. That was that early Ice Cube knockout.
Yes, that was it.
I mean, leaving that path in play for another turn, knowing that that hand was pretty dead. Just going to be relying on flower selecting to get out of this. All those energy are not active as concealed cards targets, thanks to that path to the peak. So we'll see what comes off the flower selecting. I think there's an escape rope there. Escape
rope and a Raikou, I believe. Both of which, well, escape rope can push the Comfey out of the active, but you haven't got another Comfey to put down right now.
Yeah, nothing to go into, so...
Guess you can nest ball for it, but it's not looking particularly great, Mike.
Judge path coming through.
Yeah, that Age Aqua, we've seen many a deck use that as their main strategy. Disruption, Mew used it. Remember, Arceus Giratina loves that strategy. It's just that age-old equalizer, right? Like, sure, your deck can do X, Y, and Z, and it's pretty good if it works, but you're going to have 4 cards on your hand, and you're going to have no rule box ability, so have fun trying. Here we do see the escape rope potentially being played before the nest ball. Now, that actually resets the Technoblast for KONSTA.
Yeah, we'll be putting a Mew V into the active spot with that free retreat is good. I mean, that Genesect with the 2 fusion energy on might even be able to attack later on. Not something you see very often, but the Greninja will be going to the active. 7 in the lost zone. So Mirage Gate plus attachment will allow the attack here. So this was the key turn. If no attack came through here, then we would have been seeing a likely victory for KONSTA, but this could start that journey.
It's definitely Arthur's turn now. Like you said, couldn't really afford to just sit there and absorb damage. This is a fantastic turn, though, for Arthur, being able to put 90 damage to 2 of KONSTA's Pokemon, anyone he likes. I imagine is the VMAX even a target here? Do you just go double Genesect?
Well, I mean, with the VMAX, it can Psychic Leap it away. But you might think in your head, you might be like, well, they don't have Boss in hand, I hope. And then that way, the Greninja would have to Gust. But, you know, at this stage, keep it on the Genesect, because any damage that can be taken out of play would just be an instant frustration for any Lost Box player. So the 2 Genesect there are going to be targeted, and that sort of sets up that 2-2-2 line, right?
Yeah. It's quite an easy line for Arthur to use there. You can take 4 prize cards, you can use Saber, start finishing off these Genesects, and close the game out with like a Dragonite or something like this.
Can't be a Raikou now.
No, it can't be a Raikou, because that is watching this game from the Lost Zone. We'll not be getting involved, at least during this game.
So this is where that holding onto the switch cart was a great idea, because now being able to remove some of that damage that's on the Genesect.
Yes, you can like retreat, then switch cart out to heal some of that damage. There we see the choice bar getting attacked here. Power Tablet. You see the retreat first. So here we go. We're going to see that switch cart here in that 30, I should say, sorry. And then some Fusion Strike systems, Mike.
Yeah, very thinned hand as well. So these Fusion Strike systems will be going into a lot of cards. What's like 5 at this stage?
Battle VIP pass. Oh, Lost City, I think that was. Meloetta and an Ultra Ball.
Ultra Ball is always good to see, especially as you're going to be looking to evolve one of those Mews. There we go. I mean, at this stage, with the targeting of the Genesects, you know, you might at some point evolve all your Mew as well. That's something we sometimes see when the Mews are ignored. You can then just put them all up into that Mew VMAX, but at this stage, you don't want to lock yourself out of Psychic Leap.
And what that Power Tablet does, it means KONSTA can attack copying Max Miracle now to KO this Greninja, not have to play Ring Around the Roses in the active to attack next turn. As we do see, there we go, Max Miracle for the KO.
You are wise.
It's almost like I played this deck exclusively for months. But unfortunately, even though I played it for that long, I'm behind the desk and KONSTA's the one in the final.
Also, I'm pretty sure you've packed the Mew VMAX away. You thought it was all done and dusted.
No, we don't talk about that time. Like, that was just, you know, I was going through some tough times. But no,
you went over to Lugia, didn't you?
No, well, I did a little bit of Chen Power as well sometimes. But Mew is faithful, as we do see a flower selecting into the switch card into another flower selecting. Arthur starting that march towards 10 in the lost zone to open up that Sableye lost mine.
So the Sableye's in play, so just needing the psychic energy and one more in the lost zone. How are you going to get there? Are you going to get another flower selecting maybe? Or you got the escape rope.
Am I correct in thinking Arthur hasn't played a Colress this game?
I don't think so. I mean, that's the toughest situation for any player of the Lost Box. We saw it with Pedro on the stream.
Yeah, we did.
In Game 3, not a single Colress. Really struggled to get his way to the Lost. I think in that game, the Lost City of the opponent was the reason he got to higher numbers, because all of his Pokemon getting knocked out or getting into the Lost Zone.
I wonder if that's one reason why KONSTA opted to hold his Lost City. Say, I'm not going to help you get to 10. You got to do that the hard way. As we do see an escape rope being played there from Arthur. KONSTA promotes the Mew VMAX into another flower selecting. Are we going to see a Colress seater? No. Do you see Mirage Gate, though?
Yeah, Mirage Gate will give the manual retreat. I don't think we've seen a manual retreat yet this turn.
No, I don't think so. How many psychic energies does Arthur have? Plays 3 copies. One's in the discard, 2 in the discard pile.
Super Rod in hand,
yes. Though. Yeah, you would imagine we are going to see those swiftly flying back into the deck.
Yeah, so we'll be able to get the Sableye attack off this turn.
And that will take at least 2 prize cards, right? You can just pile that into one of the Genesects.
Yeah, exactly. So they'll go straight back in. Can get one onto the Comfey and the active. One onto the Sableye, so the retreat there. Might even look to get another energy in play to set up a retreat in the future.
So let's see. Active gets the water energy. Sableye on the bench receives the Psychic. Now, one thing. Arthur, we're going to have to hope they take some good prize cards here. So while Arthur is staying in the game fantastically and applying pressure, I just worry that this attrition of trying to stay in the game without having Colress to fill the hand could start to run out of steam. As we do see the second energy onto the Comfey. Don't see that too often. Not able to use that spinning attack. You need a Psychic for that. But here we do see that lost mine. 12 damage counters being spread. So there we are going to see, what, that 100, well, 10 onto the Genesect and the rest onto the benched Genesect, as well as Arthur gets on the board. 3 prize cards remain, evening it all up, Mike.
Yeah, and that Genesect you see there, just one Sableye attack away from being knocked out. No more switch carts, just the one in the list, opting for 2 escape rope, 1 switch cart. So that Genesect that you see with 8 damage on it will be in range of the next Sableye if it's possible to get it out. And then, as we mentioned before, it will just be the big V knockout, a Dragonite V as well, which is a tough one to get out.
Yeah, that's a 2 modifier, right? 230 HP if you're using DT to attack, which you will have to since your fusion energies have been attached to Genesect to get around that Spirit Tomb. So even though that Spirit Tomb, you know, even though we are seeing Fusion Strike system, it still has its imprint on this game.
All right, so this is that stage where we mentioned at the beginning of the game, it's never over until it's over. Like, either player at this stage could win, and it could be Disruption that decides it. We might even see here the Lost City getting rid of the Sableye. That will take away the option of putting more back in the deck. And this is the stage where, if we see KONSTA get a knockout here with no return knockout, that'll almost definitely be the final one. And so this is a huge turn here for Arthur following this knockout. Not much more Mew can do than just swing with that Max Miracle. Sableye in the Lost Zone. Psychic in the discard. Can the next Sableye be set up? Roxanne.
What a top deck, though, Mike. Getting the Roxanne and the Heavy Ball, failing it instantly. But we know Roxanne could be one fantastic piece of this puzzle for Arthur to get back in this game.
The thing is, though, the juicy cards that are left in deck, a lot of them are Colresses.
Yeah.
So that Roxanne won't go straight into the top cards that you want. You want to see a Psychic Energy here. You want to see a Spiritomb. And any other way to get those things to happen, maybe a Mirage Gate. I mean, you don't want to use too many Mirage Gates because you need to save it for your Dragonite.
Yeah. So let's see what Arthur can do. Like you said, there's going to be so many cards. Like the cross switches can start to clog up now. We haven't seen any of them being played. Only a couple, or one hit the lost zone, I think.
One in the prizes at the top as well.
One in the prizes. Let's see what Arthur gets here. We need to see Sableye, Psychic Energy, ideally. Any form of attack, realistically.
I think I see them.
Is that a nest ball? I definitely saw a Psychic. Oh,
Sableye
no, the Sableye is already in the hand, I think.
And Dragonite there too, so...
Wow.
You know, the Dream Roxanne there and a Colress off of that flower selecting, potentially for next turn.
Yeah, as that Colress does go. I tell you what.
It was Colress or Cross Switcher, so you can tell where the priorities are right now.
And this is actually a really strong turn for Arthur. Not only are you Roxanne-ing your opponent out to 2 cards, but you're also going to remove one of those Genesects. So now KONSTA will only have 1 Fusion Strike system to reload his hand. As we do see the Lost Mine. Yep, there we go. Damage into the Genesect.
So you can see there, 11 onto that Genesect will be the knockout. So 1 onto the other Genesect does not change too much at this stage. We'll need a Gust and Dragonite V knockout next turn. KONSTA still has a lot of work to do. That Lost City is still in play, so Sableye will likely be gone for good. So we're seeing a lot of work still needed for KONSTA. None of these turns of disruption have really won him back an opportunity. The Spiritomb has been a nuisance, forced those fusion energy onto the Genesect, so not as much energy available for the Mew VMAX. Everything here that Arthur had planned for this matchup has come to fruition. That Spiritomb, the Sableye, the Greninja, everything there. Just one more turn needed.
That just shows the strength of these Lost Bot stacks. Not even playing Colress and still managing to apply such pressure, being 1 KO away from going 1-0 up in this final. KONSTA would have to try and disrupt his way out of this. You imagine a Roxanne does play his own copy of Roxanne, I believe.
Yep.
Or could play Judge, that would also work. But kind of needs to find them now. As much as I love Avery. Oh, there we do see the Roxanne being played. Okay. Wow, this is a big turn. My Arthur needs to draw something, be able to attack next turn.
Nothing on any of the come phase, so no free retreater.
Yep. And we have seen a fair few of those switching cards being used, as Arthur has had to use them just to get cards in the lost zone.
So a lot of prizes left for KONSTA here. We'll need a few turns to make it happen. First turn, we'll be getting rid of the Sableye. Takes away an option. Then just has to try and keep that hand as low as possible to try and get the final few attacks in. This is the challenge for Mew VMAX. Can only take out 1 prize at a turn. So it has to do 6 knockouts, which is just a lot of work for a single deck.
Mew, you don't want to be taking single prize KOs. It's worth noting, both the Sableye are in the lost zone now, so Lost Mine will not be a factor. Big 2 cards off the flower selecting Nest Ball. That's 1 piece of the puzzle and a Mirage Gate as well.
And he's got a Forest Seal Stone. The V-Star is still available.
Wow, I think that might be all the pieces necessary, right? Whatever you're missing, the Forest Seal Stone just gets you there.
I mean, you say that, but is the energy in there? I guess he checks here. Dragonite's available, but there's only just the water in there. Needs a water and a lightning in deck for that Mirage Gate.
Rod? There is a Super Rod, though.
But he needs a Super Rod and a Mirage Gate in the same turn, so not quite able to get it. So he might need to Forest Seal Stone for the Colress experiment here to try and get everything needed.
Yeah, and I guess actually needs to ideally, well, I mean, you can Dragonite into the Mew, but it's not taking prize cards this turn either, and KONSTA can just respond on the Dragonite, so...
We see all the Mew VMAXs in play now. Like we said before, once the Psychic Leap is no longer a viable option, we do start to see that, but another Roxanne could be played here too.
Yeah, it could go into the Roxanne wars, as it were, as it looks like Arthur does move the Roxanne towards the front of the deck. Whoa, Mike, come on, my heart can't handle this.
KONSTA with 1 prize remaining. I think we were a little bit off with the prize cards there. So next turn, KONSTA just needs a knockout. So this is the final turn for Arthur, which is why they're digging as deep as possible for it. That Roxanne, if it gets all the combo pieces needed, Super Rod, Mirage Gate, Water Energy, Cross Switches.
Oh, Cross Switches, yeah, of course.
This is going to be tough.
Well, let's see. Does Roxanne like Arthur 6 cards? Oh.
Surely not.
It's a lot to ask.
Okay.
I see a Water Energy. goodness, I can't make out anything from this.
Show us the hand, Arthur.
We do see the Beach Court 3 retreat into a flower selecting. I mean, only has 3 cards left in the deck after this. Can't quite make out what they were. Wasn't insta-play, so it might be a tough decision.
Okay, so there's the Colress there and the Lost Vacuum. I don't know if the Colress or the Lost Vacuum can do much at this stage. So you see the
double cross switches.
Just needs the Mirage Gate. Got the Super Rod. I mean, this is...
Might be 1 card too short. Wait, is the... Oh, wait. Oh, no, it's the Mirage Gate we need, right?
Yeah, so the cross switches are there. We need the Mirage Gate only. That's the only card. So if it came off that flower selecting, that would have been it.
And only has 3 cards left, so we're going to see... Cross switch into Genesect. Hope KONSTA can't move it.
I mean, that's got to be it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we know a lot of the fusion energies have been used. We know a few DTEs have been attached as well. Oh, it does actually give you 1 more bite at the apple for Arthur here. Gets to draw another 2 cards with the flower selecting.
Okay, just going to put the more options available back in. You know, you've got the water and the lightning. I mean, it would be awful if you were to see both of them on the same flower selecting.
It's possible. I mean, you don't want it to happen, but it's definitely a possibility.
I mean, at this stage, you didn't quite hit what you needed, so you're going to play the riskier option and see if you can pull it back at the final moment.
Okay, here we go. I guess you can attach the... Here we go.
What is
Flower
it?
selecting.
It's a lightning.
Mirage Gate and lightning.
So he's going to scoop.
Concession, yeah, because cannot KO that Genesect. KONSTA going 1 game up here in the Lille finals, Mike.
That is a tough finish there. Just not quite able to get those pieces. Imagine if off the Roxanne was able to get everything. It was a Mirage Gate short for the full combo piece. And that was incredibly close. KONSTA just throughout the whole time, just announcing an attack. Got the Max Miracle about 4 turns in a row. And the Genesects at the same time were just disappearing, but it wasn't enough in the end for Arthur to make it. And KONSTA, through attrition, gets it for Mew VMAX.
I'm just stunned, Mike. Do you know how close Arthur was to doing that at the end? Was only 1 piece of the puzzle away off that Roxanne plus flower selected. So if you're Arthur, you must be thinking, did he even play a chorus that whole game?
I don't think he did. I think the 2 supporters he played were Roxanne.
So didn't play a single chorus and was 1 card away from winning. So Arthur's confidence, you know, might be a little bit worried that, you know, did lose game 1. But if I was, I think, wow, this is still dangerously close. I have plenty of time for a game 2 and 3. It's definitely all to play for.
100%. Well, we'll see how that goes in the next game. As we mentioned before, with this matchup, Mew has to just keep swinging throughout. So we do tend to see it go down to the wire at the end there. 1 turn away for both players. And that's going to be the difference. I mean, the Dragonite as a finisher is that bit tougher. If it was a Raikou, it might have even been a different story there.
Yeah, like we saw that Raikou having to hit the lost zone early for Arthur to stay in the game. But like you said, 2 energy is a world of difference there. As we do see prize cards, let's have a look, Mike. Genesect, nothing too. 1 fusion energy could be impactful. A Cramorant, is that the only copy of Cramorant? It is. Oh, no.
Your boy Avery.
No. Not the Avery, not like this. But we are going to kick off our game 2 here. Arthur starting us off here. Does have a Radiant Greninja. Start off with a Concealed cast. Let's see what those 2 are.
Right, nice slow beginning. As we said, there's a lot of time here. Both players will be taking their time. A lot to do, but it's going to take several turns to do it.
Hisuian Heavy Ball can actually get that Cramorant actually straight out the prize card. So that Cramorant will be, well, might be an influence on this game. There we go.
I mean, this makes the notepad a lot easier to deal with right here.
Oh, yeah, 100% right.
I think that's everyone's favorite play, is the Hisuian Heavy Ball as the first search card you have of the game.
Yep.
Have you ever done it where you do the Hisuian Heavy Ball and then you go into your deck for your first deck check and you start checking for prizes?
Yeah, you just instinctively do it, right? You're like, hold on, I just looked at these.
I have everything.
All right, so let's see what Arthur does. They're shuffling up those prize cards. Now with the knowledge, I think it's so important in Lost Zone decks where resources can be really important. You know, knowing what the prize cards are, as we do see them getting put back down there. And let's see what Arthur continues to do on this turn.
Yeah, that cross switcher could come into play later on. We mentioned last time it was right at the top, but then a Hisuian Heavy Ball would have shuffled it around. I don't know where it went in the end, but on that occasion, that will be sometime in the mid-game, so it might work out perfectly that it will be taken off the prizes at the right time. But, you know, there's only 2 Gust options in the list, and both of them are cross switches.
Mike, I don't think KONSTA has a playable card in that hand.
You think
Apart from benching those, because I think the card closest to the camera, that's a Cram. Then we see a Path, then a Boss, then a Lisa, then a Roxanne, and then the 2 Pokemon.
Oh, we'll see how that pans out here. Not the best start. I mean, the advantage when you win the first game is you can have a sloppy second one.
This is true. This is true. You can go law of averages. If I did draw once, hopefully I don't do it again. But yeah, not even a way to access Genesect right here. I mean, we can use the Alyssa Sparkle, but without having another energy to attach from hand, we're not going to see an attack. Oh, goodness.
Not ideal. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be ideal on the other game, but then the Forest Seal Stone allowed the Alyssa Sparkle to get involved, and then with Genesect in play, it was a good option. But on this occasion, we might be seeing a quick Game 3. Of course, when KONSTA was in the final at Malmo against Puesto, we saw them go back and forth, scooping very quickly. In the Mew matchup, it can be quite obvious who's going to win early on. But in this matchup, you do have the ability to slow roll it a little bit. But for Mew, they have to start taking knockouts quicker than most decks, because they have to do 1 prize at a time.
Yeah, Mew VMAX doesn't want to take 1 prize card at a time. It's not built to do that. I mean, you can do it, but what you can't do then is start to falter and not do much. As we do see a retreat. We're going to see an energy mix? I think we might. I think we are. Well, I mean, that's why you would retreat into the Mew there. Energy mix, not a card attack you see too often, letting you attach any energy from your deck to your Pokemon, including special energy.
Yeah, to your Fusion Strike Pokemon. I mean, every Pokemon in this deck is a Fusion Strike Pokemon. Yeah, you don't see that very often. We've been blessed with unusual attacks throughout today. Still no Splup from a Ditto, but we're getting plenty of fun attacks through. And a Colrus, a very different story for Arta this time, where he's going to be using a Colrus on his first supporter turn. This is much better for him. That's
his first Colrus of this finals being played here. I'm sure Arthur would love that to not been the case and had some last game, but that's the cards he's been dealt. So looking at the cards off that Colrus,
it's a toughie.
Yeah, looks like both, well, the Dragonite and the Raikou both there, so you probably want to keep hold of them if possible, or at least one of them.
Yeah, looking to be both of them, getting rid of one of the cross switches there.
Let's see what else. It does have an escape route and switch car, so we can move that Manaphy out the active, start doing some flower selectings as well. But not the greatest of hands there. We will have to work for it. Here we do see the flower selecting. Couldn't quite make out what they were. I think it might have been a Super Rod, and then something else. But here you see the strength of having that Hisuian Heavy Ball, because you can write down the prizes. As we do see the Lost Zone getting pushed down there. There's 2 copies of Roxanne currently in the both copies of Roxanne. See what that means, Mike? There will be no late game Roxanne, at least from Arthur's side of the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's a game plan of trying to go ahead early, if I've ever seen one, trying to get those early knockouts. With no Genesects in play, it's going to be a different kind of route here. Typically, you go for those Genesects throughout and try and just work your way through them, but maybe it'll be down the Mew VMAX line. In a big 3 prize knockout. Two Mews in play, not much else in the hand to be played, so we'll see what happens here. But maybe a Cramorant attack here and see if that 110 sticks, and then try and finish off the Mew.
Seems pretty sensible to me. We do see the concealed cards being used there. Beach Court, is that double cross switches. So we could see a real aggressive Cramorant here. If Arthur chooses to, you could also opt to just hold on to them. And
you've got to hold on to them. Yeah. One in the Lost Zone, one in the prizes. That's your only Gust for the whole game.
Oh, it looks like, yeah, we are retreating into the Cramorant there, which can attack that Lost Provisions, 110, spit innocently. Nothing innocent about that, in my opinion. That's 110 damage for no energy.
Yeah, well done, Cramorant.
Yeah, done his job. Speaking of doing the job, KONSTA has top-decked Forest Seal Stone, so can, well, at least do something to get back in this game. Could be finding Genesect. Well, yeah, could use Genesect, actually. Yeah, that V-Star marker hasn't been flipped over for Game 2, so we still have the V-Star available. Let's see what he searches.
There's a lot of options off of Forest Seal Stone, typically. Early game, you might see an Alyssa Sparkle or a Battle VIP Pass, but we're past that stage now, so it's going to be looking for a different kind of card, maybe a Disruption, maybe looking for a Mew VMAX to start getting those attacks off. We'll see.
Looks like we're going for the judge. Now, this is really interesting because all those Battle VIP passes are going to be in the deck still. You know, decent chance of drawing into them. Haven't got any Genesect to bail you out yet. But let's see how the judge treats KONSTA. Last game, the judge worked really well for KONSTA. Let's see how it treats him this game.
As a seasoned Mew player yourself, Shay, how often do you judge and hope and find the right cards off those 4?
The old judge and pray. I mean, it happens. It happens more often than you'd like, unfortunately. All you want to realistically see here is an Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball can find you Genesect, then you can start drawing cards. Mew VMAX would also be a fantastic draw here. Let's see what he gets. Mew V, DTE, Power Tablet, and Lost Vacuum. Oh my goodness, Mike, that's awful.
You can still attack.
With what? Oh, again, energy? I mean,
a little Psychic Leap. There's a double turbo energy in there. It's not ideal.
What, you could even block Slider here, right? 60. Doesn't actually care anything, so unfortunately. And that's a concession, Mike. KONSTA realizing not a lot can be done. Wants plenty of time for a game 3.
I mean, that's it. You got to play fast here when you're sure it's over. Get over it. Move on to the next. And with that judge, it just didn't give him the bits that he needed. No Genesect.
Nope.
No Mew there.
Nope.
I mean, Mew VMAX, that is. I mean, it was.
Yeah, the wrong Mew wanted to get involved there. I appreciate Mew V wanting to get involved in the action, but we didn't need Mew V, needed Mew VMAX.
A lot of people thought the fusion build of Mew was too inconsistent. You know, it got a little bit clunkier. There's a lot more 1-ofs and 2-ofs.
Yeah.
But what we found with it, in a best-of-3 format, you often have the one game where you go, chuck that away, that wasn't great. And then you have your other 2 where you can really show off what it's capable of. And the amount of options you can get once you set up is amazing. So that's the bad game for KONSTA. We got that out the way. Didn't get set up properly. Now we go into the final game where he gets to choose to go first. And if he gets those draws off before the Spiritomb's down, be in a much better spot.
Do you know what that means, Mike? And you know what that means, viewers at home? We now essentially have a best of 1. The winner takes $10,000 home and that auto invitation to the World Championships. It doesn't get more close and clutch than this.
Lille has been amazing. We had over 800 participants here. 81 made it to day 2, and now we have just 2 left. 2 remaining, and all of these wonderful people in the crowd who are still remaining.
Let's make some noise, everyone, there in the crowd. The Lille finals, baby. Best of 1. Here we go. Yeah, there we go. Come on now. I want to hear you down the mics. Come on.
We've had some exciting Pokemon here. Pokemon Go had an incredible final, incredibly loud. Same thing for the VG. They're all finished. We're just here left with the final of TCG to see who's going to be the Lille champion. KONSTA versus Arta as they put their prize cards out. Anything there you're spotting for KONSTA?
I mean, one Mew VMAX isn't ideal, especially considering you might have to work off limited Fusion Strike systems this game. Arthur, I mean, we haven't seen Arthur's prize yet, but nothing too impactful. Maybe the 1 copy of Foresteel Stone as it slides in there could be kind of impactful. But KONSTA does play 3. Oh, no, only plays 2, actually. Oh, no, it does play 3. So it does have 2 more of them to draw into. Does have a mulligan to work with as well. I tell you what, if you get mulligans as Mew, that's normally quite good. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, you never really know, though, because you want to thin that hand down, but realistically you want to try and get as many basics out as possible. So it might be 2 mulligans here.
Yeah. I mean, that can happen, actually. We get to the point where you're like, how have I got, like, I don't know, 8 cards in hand and haven't got realistically much stuff? But realistically, I think all KONSTA wants to do here, just have a Battle VIP pass, get in the game. I do see 1 in hand, actually, for KONSTA. So let's see what Arthur can manufacture here as KONSTA give that deck a good shuffle, saying, right, let's have a fun game of Pokemon trading cards.
With over 30 minutes on the clock here, we're going into our final game of the Lille Regional Championship. Every player here has shown up and played the best Pokemon we've seen in the region so far. The quality is just getting better and better. The deck building is getting smarter, and I'm incredibly excited for the rest of this season as we see the best players taking this that bit more seriously. As we see the prize cards coming through. Not too bad in the end, especially with that Ditto kind of acting as a as a 5th Comfey. It might be possible to get it, but we'll see what happens here as we start Game 3 of the Grand Final.
Don't forget, we've got $10,000 on the line, the auto invitation to the World Championships. As KONSTA does start this game with a Battle VIP pass. Does have 2 Fusion Energies in hand as well, so can try and get them to Genesect as soon as possible.
Crammatics in there as well, so some deck thinning, maybe some high rolls into Battle VIP Pass. This looks like it's going to be the ideal start for Konsta, but from the history of these two decks, typically it goes in favor of Lost Box if they both work at their normal speeds. But the disruption that can happen from a Mew build and the challenging route for a Lost Box that might not be possible to keep up with, that's the route that Mew has to take. It has to take a turn away from Lost Box.
Yeah. You are correct. You have to disrupt them, buy that turn back, you know, try and stop a Lost Mine when it would have happened, try and stop a Moonlight Shuriken, try and stop that Dragon Gale. As we saw Konsta do fantastically in Game 1, that is what Konsta will have to repeat if he wants to win here in the Lille finals.
So that first deck check for Konsta, just going through, making sure everything's in there. We did see the Mew and the Mew VMAX in the prizes earlier, so we'll be taking note of those, but plays the 4-3 line. Sometimes we see 3-2 in the Mew, but really leaning into the Mews in this one, just with the Meloetta and the Ice Cube.
Not something you'd see me doing, Mike, 3-2. That is a bit more risk-adverse than I would like. And Konsta seems to agree with me on that one.
And that's talking from your point of view. You're a risky fella.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm saying that's too risk-averse, imagine how risky that really is. Like, because we see, right, we see 2 copies of cards get prized. Now, Arthur currently has prized 2 copies of Comphase. If you just prize both your VMAX, that Meloetta better start doing some work, because if not, you're crossing your fingers.
Good bit of advice there from Shay.
There we go.
Hope you guys are enjoying this at home. Get involved. If you've learned something today from Shay or I, hit us with the hashtag #PlayPokemon. Tell us what you learned, because this has been one of the most incredible regionals, seeing the routes people are taking, very unorthodox routes. I mean, we saw earlier today a block slider for 20
yeah, we did.
with 4 power tablets to knock out a Gardevoir, I think it was. So, you know, you think you've seen everything in the game and then you see stuff like that. This is going to be one of those games, I feel like I have a suspicion we're going to see some unorthodox routes.
I think you are correct. As we do see the Cramomatic being played, was a Tails for Konsta. I tell you what, this is a fantastic start, though, all things considered. It has got that Genesect in the active. You might want to try and maneuver that around, maybe, as we do see a Fusion Strike system drawing another Cramomatic and that Mew VMAX. We are going to see that Cramomatic being played. Law of averages, Mike. Is this going to be a heads?
Cram the cram.
Hey, there we go. Play 2, 1 goes heads. That's how it should be, right?
What are we thinking here? Maybe an Ultra Ball to thin the hand down? Maybe the Alyssa Sparkle ready for next turn?
I think Ultra Ball's the safest pick. We could even see a switch, maybe. Well, I guess we are going to see the Battle VIP Pass. Konsta is happy to work with the cards in his hand. I guess that kind of makes sense. Now that you've used 3 Cramomatics, that makes the Battle VIP Pass in your deck really hard to move. So get it out nice and early, and then you've still got other Fusion Strike systems to use this time. Yeah,
a lot of those consistency cards being used early, and they're the cards you want to see early on. Now they're gone. You've just got a full board ready to play. As we mentioned earlier, this matchup, back in the day when it was a double turbo build and there wasn't that Spiritomb to worry about, we used to just see 3 Genesect, 3 Mew V, and a lot of Psychic Leaping going on. So I wonder if this is the route that Konsta's going down, trying to play into the Psychic Leap in case a Cramorant, for example, attacks into the active Mew.
We do see the Forest Seal Stone as well. Probably going to hold on to that. No need to use that this turn. Fusion Strike system for 1. Choice Belt. It's not the worst card, not terribly useful at this moment in time, but we do know Arthur does play some V Pokemon, Raikou and Dragonite. Dragonite requires 2 modifiers, so having that down early could come back.
Potentially the biggest factor in that turn. Pretty much everything's set up. The only downside is there is now a Genesect V in the active. There is every possibility that a Lost Box plays a escape rope anyway and helps you out in that way. But, you know, if that Genesect takes damage from a Cramorant, that sets up that journey through 3 Genesects a lot easier.
And then we know Konsta does play the Switch card, but it's not the greatest of healing. We did see, you know, Penny earlier on stream. Doesn't play that, does Konsta. So, yeah, a spit innocently into a Genesect could prove vital for Arthur's route to victory. Let's see if he can manufacture that. Does get a Battle VIP pass of the Chorus experiment, so he can start to fill his bench.
He did actually put a Comfey in the Lost Zone there because he hasn't had a deck check yet. So he took the Battle VIP pass over the Comfey, and that's going to mean for the rest of this game, until he takes prizes, and as long as I guess he might find a Hisuian Heavy Ball, but those Comfeys are not going to be easy to get. So that's one of the challenges of Lost Box. If you make a decision before you've had a deck check, you might put something in the Lost Zone you don't want to see.
As we do see Arthur, well, I guess can't grab 2 Comfeys now. It's not an option, so maybe having to preemptively grab that Spiritomb a turn earlier than he'd like. I mean, it's not a bad card, is it really, to grab against Mew VMAX turn 1, but that might limit the amount of cards Arthur can get into the lost zone.
You see, hovering with that Ditto.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw your eyes wider when we saw that. We love that Ditto, don't we? And it's actually a really good way of thinning the deck, right? Because you can take the Ditto out, which then replaces itself into the Comfey, removing one card from your deck.
But no Comfey in deck. 2 in the prizes, 1 in the lost zone, 1 in hand.
Oh, the other one's in hand. Oh, I apologize. So
probably be for something like the Cram, maybe a Dragon Knight to set up a Forest Seal Stone. So yeah, not the ideal start. I mean, who would have thought that Comfey going to the lost zone in that first Colrus would be putting him in such a sticky spot right now?
Yeah, it's come back to really bite him there. So let's see. I think Spiritomb's always... Is it Spiritomb Ditto? The problem is you have to use that Ditto this turn, right? You can't just like sit on it because then it will just stay a Ditto. You can only use that on the first turn of the game, that ability, that transformative start. We'll get there eventually.
Transformative start.
I still got it wrong.
It's all right,
Goodness gracious. I should stick to Mew, shouldn't I? I should stick to the Mew stuff. I can pronounce that. Those exotic cards, Mike, you can look after them.
I mean, we might see a Splup.
Well, that's caught me off guard. Might see the Splup.
We get that Ditto up on the screen here so people can see the beautiful Splup attack.
And that hard word that I couldn't pronounce as well. So people don't just think I'm not very good at pronouncing. There it is. Look how long that word is. That's a lot of letters right there, you know. Splup, on the other hand, that's an easy one.
Yeah, the Cramorant and the Spiritomb going down off that Battle VIP pass. Greninja in the active. So a little bit of draw potential. Comfey in the hand. Concealed cards. There is a Lost Vacuum in hand, so we'll be able to get a Cramorant attack off given a retreat happens. But if it's an escape rope, that will put that Mew into the active, which is ideal for Konsta.
So let's have a look. So we are going to see the switch cart being used. Flower select. Let's see what this grabs or gets. Psych Energy and Water Energy, both quite impactful. Just want to see how many of each Arthur plays. Does play 3 Psychic and 4 Water. It looks like the Water is going to hit the Lost Zone.
Makes a lot of sense. You see 2 Sableye in hand, not ideal right now. So some of those end game cards are in the hand. So the energy will guarantee the retreat and can get the Cramorant attack off by removing the Forest Seal Stone on the other side, or the Choice Belt. I assume the Forest Seal Stone.
Yes.
Takes away an option.
And we know one of those Forest Seal Stones is prized for Konsta, so it only has 1 available in the deck. As we do see that spit innocently into the Genesect. Fantastic offensive pressure there from Arthur on his turn 1.
Despite the adversity there, managed to find a way to the Cramorant spit innocently. Oh, I think he'll take that.
Yeah, as we do see that Elisa's Sparkle being played. God, that Spiritomb is live. It was a non-factor in Game 2, that Spiritomb, but it is here. Fettered in Misfortune, turning off basic V Pokemon's abilities. So that means those Genesect will require a Fusion Strike energy to use Fusion Strike system.
And the other energy in hand, so all 4 will be going into play most likely. And the Mew V on the bench with the Fusion energy can be the one to attack. So that Genesect in the active spot is the biggest concern at this stage. Yeah. How do you get it out the way? Do you have a switch out for it? I mean, the Forest Seal Stone would have been a great way to get that before, but no supporter available. Alyssa Sparkle used. So has a powered up Mew V. It's just whether they can draw into the final piece, that switch out.
Okay, so we do see double evolution there, double fusion energy. Let's see what this Fusion Strike system draws. It's going to be a fresh 6. Do we see a switching card, Mike? I see the Avery.
Not useful right now,
I see
mate.
the Power Pad. I see an Alyssa. I see a DTE, but you can't use that because you attach the Fusion Strike energy from hand to the Mew.
Not many of those are playable as well. Only the Power Pad and the Power Tablet.
Oh, goodness, yeah. So Konsta will only be able to draw another 2. This could be a very decisive 2. And the Power Pad is a bit of reverse synergy because it gives you 1 more card you can draw into that you don't really want right now.
Has to do it, though.
Can't
draw unless you get rid of it. And the Power Tablet, not necessarily the biggest card in this matchup, can be burnt quite easily. But still, you don't want to have to draw 2 to try and find a switch out at this stage.
So, Mike, is it possible that these 2 cards could be the decider in the Lille finals here? $10,000 on the line. Switch card! There's no way. There's no way right now that Genesect is saying, don't worry, KONSTA, I've got your back. We are going to see an attack from KONSTA.
Not just that, the ideal effect as well to heal some of that damage off, making it even harder for Arthur here. So that perfect draw, switch card the key.
The key to victory, as it were, for KONSTA so far, as he takes one prize card going ahead here in our Game 3 Lille Grand Final. Mike, back over to Arthur. What do you think he wants to try and do here?
Just get that loss count to 10. That's the key. Try and get set up for the lost mine as soon as possible. Might even need to try and get the Greninja attack off. Just trying to climb up through the loss count. It's really tough with just the one Comfey. We mentioned earlier on, one in the lost zone, two in the prizes. The Suin Heavy Ball would be an option, but outside of that, this is going to be tough.
This hand's looking a bit dire, Mike. No realistically strong playables right now. No Colrus, no Comfey to switch into. Are we going to see a scratch?
Dicey business.
It's an option, but this doesn't mean it's a great one. I mean, Lost Vacuum doesn't really accomplish a lot. Escape Rope doesn't really accomplish a lot when KONSTA has 3 retreaters. We are going to see that Escape Rope, though.
My goodness, it just went from it looking like KONSTA was going to have to lose a turn to now Arthur in the worst spot possible.
Yeah, and like you said, it could be a decision as easy as lost zoning one Comfey. When you have prize 2, KONSTA can start to pull ahead a little bit here as Arthur just passes. Oh, KONSTA! Yeah! Let's go, Avery! Let's go. That's actually quite an impactful Avery. That means Sableye could get discarded, in which case the other one could get KO'd. The one-off Comfey, the Spirit Tomb, or the Radiant Greninja. One of those cards is getting discarded, and it's the Spirit Tomb as well.
There you go.
Oh, no, it's not. It's going to be the Sableye.
Oh, he got you there. The Avery's got you all excited. For the viewers at home who can't see us right now, Shay is flailing with joy. he's been gassing up Avery all weekend. Finally gets to see it used. It created a tough decision there for Arthur, taking away options. But realistically, it was another draw 3 for KONSTA, which in that position doesn't need anything more at this stage. He's just going to be announcing attacks.
What you want to do now is KONSTA has developed 2 Mew VMAX. You can just retreat between them if necessary. We do see a double turbo energy, so we can even use a Max Miracle to KO as KONSTA takes another prize card. That
Forest Seal Stone that you spoke about earlier off the prizes, that's going to create more options. V-Star marker still flipped up. So this hand, the 2 Alyssa Sparkles there, we'll want to get rid of them at some point, but ultimately doesn't need to change anything, just needs to keep announcing attacks. Might disrupt later on, but this is the perfect position for KONSTA to take it away.
I don't think Arthur has any playables again. I mean, we have seen a Forest Seal Stone, but there's no V Pokemon that Arthur can put down. Oh, we see the Mirage Gate there. Okay, so now we can get to 7.
Can you attack with that Mirage Gate? It has to...
wait, another energy actually, right? Even if you want to...
And a retreat.
And a retreat. I mean, we could see a spinning attack, Mike, but that wouldn't be very impactful.
I mean, it would be the first spinning attack we've seen in a while, so just for that, it might be fun. But I don't think Arthur will be thinking that's a fun idea.
Not in the final with $10,000 on the line.
It is going on the Greninja there. So the Greninja has set up a little bit, but a little bit more needed, and that hand not got what's on the cards. I mean, Arthur's just not been seeing these Chorus Experiment. Game 1, not a single one. Now positioned, hopeful to find one. The Forest Seal Stone, not available to use. So there's going to be a concealed cards here.
Big 2 cards, Mike. What are we going to see? Heavy Ball, Nest Ball. Okay, Nest Ball opens up the Forest Seal Stone. But what that also does do is give KONSTA a way to accelerate his prize card taking as well.
Also, with the Heavy Ball, we've got the chance to get one of those Comfeys out the prize cards too. So both of those cards could be useful here. Dragonite, Forest Seal Stone into the Chorus Experiment. But of course, those Sableye, one of them knocked out, one of them removed with the Avery. So this is going to be tough here. Arthur, in a really rocky position, is just going to try and find a way out of it with this Forest Seal Stone. I mean, it's a way out, but it's not the ideal way out.
No, but Arthur has over the course of the game, made that Dragonite slightly safer in the sense that that Choice Belt did get lost vacuumed away. So if KONSTA does want to go after it via Boss's orders and a KO, we'll need 2 power tablets. I believe 1 got played, I believe, as well, so you can draw the 2 off the Fusion Strike system. So
maybe just the 1 power tablet as well, because one of those Mew VMAX is just fusion energy, so no negatives there. This is the ideal board state here for KONSTA. Got everything in play needed to just keep swinging. If the Mew VMAX gets attacked, you've got the Psychic Leap available. If the Genesect starts getting attacked, you've just got time to work with. So everything on KONSTA's side right now, having taken 2 prizes, Arthur looking to take his first.
Yeah, despite the prize cards there for KONSTA, has taken 2 prizes. Hopefully we'll get that updated. Has taken a Sableye KO and a Cramorant. So yeah, putting down that 2 prize, like you said, strictly necessary in this contest here. Not something you want to do, but we do see one of those Comfey being liberated from the prize cards.
Yeah, it was a tough decision at the beginning. Doing a chorus experiment without a deck check, meaning that first Comfey went into the lost zone. Could have really defined this final as those prize cards get replaced after the Hisuian Heavy Ball. 2 switch outs could be important later on, and the Colrus. You know, these cards, they're all useful to the game plan of the deck, but more just about that consistency.
And let's see what happens. We're going to see a Super Rod being played. Going to shuffle in one of those Sableye and the Energy.
That Avery came in clutch, eh?
It did. Honestly, viewers, you couldn't see me behind the screen, but I just saw that Avery starting to hit the playing surface. I was thinking, that's an impactful Avery right there. You know what, viewers? Off air, Mike was taking the mickey at me a little bit, saying whenever Avery's been on stream, hasn't really done much, and you've been very happy. Well, this time, Mike, it was a bit impactful, wasn't it?
I'll accept my incorrectness earlier on.
Hey!
Oh, almost putting the water on the Comfey. Just getting a little bit confused there, making sure the water goes on the Greninja. Lightning on the active just to retreat it. We'll be able to get a Moonlight Shuriken off this turn. So keeping that tempo up to try and go through all of the Genesect. But due to that Spit Innocently plus the switch cart, that Genesect's in a really good spot. 80 damage taken away, leaving it with 110 left. So the Greninja here will purely be damage spread, no prize cards taken.
You can't, that's all you can do in this scenario. Try and stay in this game and hope that Sableye can, you know, come around and clean up some of these KOs. But as it stands now, no prize cards being taken for Arthur as KONSTA puts those damage counters on, and then he will look to get his turn started. Let's see what he draws into.
Yeah, those Sableye will need to come back into play to try and finish off those Genesect. So you see 100 remaining on the Genesect in the middle, and the one on the left seems to be 20 hit points remaining, which sounds to me like a perfect Sableye.
Yep, that will work out extremely well for Sableye. That's a 6 on those 2022 dice. The logo counts as a 6. There's a Cramomatic heads, meaning KONSTA can grab any card. Now, I think I saw a flash of Cyrus. That means Boss's orders could be on its way.
What are they going to boss here? The Dragonite?
Surely, just try and race. I mean, it says KONSTA's taken 1 prize. It's actually taken 2, so that would take him down to 4 prize cards taken before Arthur has taken any, which will put him in a very strong position. Basically saying, right, let's race Arthur, shall we? Doesn't have the power tablet modifier in hand yet, so we'll have to go fishing for it, as we do to the prize cards being updated there. And the Forest Seal Stone, Mike, that guarantees that KONSTA will be able, well, to do whatever he wants, as we see the Lost Vacuum being played there. Actually getting Arthur to 10 in the loss now, I believe, right? Yep. Helping
him out.
Yeah.
I think he would have got there anyway. Going to probably Flower Select to start the next turn off anyway. But yeah, a gust onto the Dragonite here.
Ooh, so we still need to find that power tablet. Now, Mike, you don't really want to use Dark Alchemy in this situation to grab it. It's an option. You'd rather hold on to it if possible. Let's see if we see the power tablet. Oh, I don't think we did. Not there anyway.
I mean, that's the advantage you got with the Forest Seal Stone, is it does give you an out if you can't find exactly what you need. And that's going to be the case here.